Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So today I'm actually starting a whole new content series. This one's going to be Unranked to Challenger. I haven't done this before, so I'm really excited. I'm 3 games in at the moment, and this account's actually currently around bronze. So this game we're going to go over today is around a silver, around a silver level game, and I found it really interesting. So the way I want to do this whole content series is rather than just play meme champs and flex on guys and create entertaining content, I want to create content that is actually going to help you in your own climb. And I want to go detailed in terms of reviewing each or all the games that I do within this content series. So I'm going to share with you and begin to share with you some of my initial thoughts about climbing within these elos. And so let's get into that now. So first thing that I'm finding that jungle tracking is quite easy. Jungle pathing is very simple and it's very linear. So it's very easy to track out and spot junglers with very, I guess, standard wards. We'll get into that throughout this game. I would say side lane roaming is also a lot easier in this elo because people don't seem to react as much. They do react, not saying they don't at all, but they don't react as much. And thirdly, 15 minutes plus, around 15 minutes into the games become ARAMs. Everyone just groups. So given this information, I've come up now with 2 hypotheses that I'm starting to test, and that's actually working quite well at the moment. So one, these are the 2 overarching strategies I believe that you can apply around silver level, and this is the same. This is like a silver to gold, so silver to gold, even lower, it would work as well. 2 overarching styles that you can apply to your games to climb. So one, I feel like the first one you can go for, the first style you can go for is more like a push and roam style. And your intention with this style should be to push and create leads pre 15 minutes such that once it gets to 15 minutes, you're going to be so far ahead that once you group, you're going to be winning those team fights. So that's through champions like Talon, Diana, Fizz, Echo, etc. Then you've got the other style, which I actually am going to demonstrate today, which is the scaling high range mid laners such as Xerath, Vel'Koz, Lux, Victor, etc. And why I think these champions are so effective, and especially Lux, and I really want to highlight Lux and as a champion that I recommended silver to gold to learn mid fundamentals with, is because once the game gets to 15 minutes plus and everyone groups, Lux becomes insanely beneficial and insanely awesome champion to play because you outrange nearly everyone. Your poke is awesome. You have a really awesome pick ability, your Q. Once you hit that Q, generally you can 100-0 with your team following up on that ability, and your range is just insane, and your utility with your shield is just nuts. So I found that Lux around 15 minutes plus, if you farm really well, do all the right things, position well, which we'll get into in this video, it's a really great way to learn mid lane and also climb through these ranks. So let's dive straight in, guys. So jumping right in, just quickly going over the team compositions. I had a Xin Zhao jungle, a Ornn support with an MF bot lane. I was versing a Rumble mid with Cleanse, which is actually, I was quite surprised he ended up taking Cleanse, which actually reduces my kill threat on this guy quite a lot. They have a Lee Sin, Darius top, and an Ezreal Leona bot lane. So already in my mind, I'm thinking it's a really good habit to get into is to assess the key threatening abilities onto you. So straight away, what I'm thinking about is, okay, well, Leona is a very threatening champion, especially around 6. He can get onto me, lock me down, especially since I've only got teleport, no self-peel. Rumble ult can be quite annoying, and if Rumble gets close range onto me, it's going to be quite annoying. Darius as well, if Darius gets onto me, I'm not going to be able to peel him off. And Lee Sin's not too bad. Rumble, Q, Ezreal's not too bad, but that's already what I'm thinking. And I'm already thinking, all right, let's look at the summoner situation mid. I have teleport and they have cleanse. So straight away I'm thinking how I need to figure out a way to use this utility advantage by either heavy trading, coming back to lane with TP, and getting a really good reset. And in terms of runes, guys, I like going Comet, Arcane Comet with pretty standard Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, and I actually go Gathering Storm this game, which I don't usually recommend, but because I find games in this elo tend to go a lot longer, Gathering Storm in low elo seems to be a little bit more effective. And then secondary, I just go Boots and Biscuits. And I start with the Doran's Ring here. So my intention, we'll skip forward a little bit here in the early game. My intention is to farm the early game quite effectively, poke whenever my mana flow bands up, and generally try and poke when they walk up for CS, and try and get to my first item Lost Chapter, and then after that Luden. So I'm completely fine, even if my team gets behind. I'm confident that when it gets to 15 minutes, I'm going to make up for it. And because I'm versing Rumble, I don't want, and you'll notice a key theme of this whole game, is I want to minimize the amount of time that Rumble has push onto me, because if Rumble has push onto me and I play quite defensively and like a bitch, then it's going to snowball. He's going to be able to exert pressure around the map and make it very difficult for me to stall out this game as long as possible. So what do you see? I see me slowly getting the push in. I'm not pushing too much, but I'm pushing enough that I feel quite confident being able to control the wave. Now, notice in terms of jungle, you always need to be thinking about the jungle champion. I know they have a Lee Sin, and most likely he's going to start red because, I mean, obviously he is because Camille warded the blue, so we know he's starting red. So Lee Sin has two options here. He's either going to do a 3 camp to top side, like maybe like a red, blue Gromp or red, wolves, blue, something like that, or he's going to do red to a level 2 gank mid. So my positioning on my character, I'm just leaning my champion onto the top side of the lane, knowing that I can't die if I lean topside. Now notice what I do here. I throw out my E like this. So generally what I try to do is I time my E with these minions HP. And what that's going to do, it doesn't matter what really champion you're versing, as long as you time your E with when they have to walk up to CS, that's going to prevent them from either getting the CS, or if they take the CS, then you're going to be able to get poke. So that's what I'm always trying to do here. And because I leave it up and end up getting a nice E on him, because he wanted to get that CS. And then Lee Sin shows topside onto the blue, so now I'm registering that, and now I know that he's done red to blue. And luckily Camille's got that ward there, so it gives me a lot of information. So I know in a second I'm going to ward top river, so I know if he chooses to like do, you know, maybe he does blue, Gromp, and then walks into river like this for Scuttle, or whatever. That's most likely what happens with Lee Sin. They try to, once they path from bot to top, they'll stay top for topside Scuttle. That's, in my mind, what's probably going on here. And nothing too special going on here. Just got my E, my Q level 2, and I'm just slowly pushing in, really focusing on my CSing as well. And, okay, another little tip, guys. Most junglers won't be in river getting ready to be active and gank you before 240. So use that as a really good, solid benchmark to know when you should ward. And when you should ward, like, you shouldn't really be warding around 240 because then you could be ganked. So I like to ward around 230 because this gives me plenty of time to get the ward, get back to lane, and pick a side to lean onto. And the other reason I ward now is I know that if I go mid now, the wave's already crashing and I need to be attending it. And I won't have time to push this wave, then walk into river. So notice what I do now. I'm like kind of leaning onto the top side of the lane, knowing that Lee Sin is on top side. Now, this is a very, very crucial part of the game. So now I'm thinking a few things. So do I need to keep pushing mid to ensure that we can contest this top scuttle? Because Xin Zhao's also here. So I'm thinking, if I let this Rumble completely shove me in, and Xin Zhao walks into this top river here, I'm very scared that, you know, Rumble's going to get there and Xin Zhao's just going to die and there's nothing I can do about it. If you think that your jungler's not, you know, they didn't end up on the same side and you know they're just going to be trading scuttles, then I probably would let Rumble shove me in a little bit or just keep it in the middle. But because I'm one to make my jungler's life as easy as possible, I'm actually keeping the wave. I'm trying to somewhat keep a push so I can get to the fight at least the same time or slightly before Rumble, ideally. Now, this is something that is a little bit complex, but I try to think about it. And the relationship between mid and jungle is actually, they're very closely tied. Mid and jungle, very closely tied. As a mid laner, a thing that can really help you win games is just really understanding that if you make your jungler's life easier, they will complement you on the back end. They will do things that will also help you because they'll be further ahead to enemy jungle, which means you're going to be able to get more vision control, which means you're going to be stronger in skirmishes, which is going to be more beneficial for you in the long run. So it's like, if you guys have seen that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's like Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton, that stunt man, you know, he's the actor in the stunt double. That's the way I view like mid lane and jungle. And you always got to be looking to complement each other. And yes, most junglers won't try and complement mid, but it's a bit of a one-way relationship in solo queue because I'm just a nice dude. But that's the way I'm already thinking right now. So then I'm thinking right now, Lee Sin's most likely on Wolves because he went from blue to Gromp, but I'm thinking he's on Wolves right now. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, most likely he's going to go Wolves and then into River. That's what I was potentially thinking. So I didn't really, and that's why I'm leaning kind of on the top side at the moment, thinking that Lee Sin is on Wolves right now. And notice how I'm not completely, I'm like kind of eating the wave. And the reason I'm doing this is because I know, I'm thinking anyway that Xin Zhao and Lee Sin are going to meet in River any second right now. But then I should have adapted because Lee Sin's not showing. I'm like, well, what's going on here? I'm actually assuming that Lee Sin's literally camping in that bush right now, trying not to show in river and actually about to fight this Xin Zhao. So I'm getting ready for that. That's why I'm kind of like starting to lean on the top side of the lane, leaning towards my jungler. And then Lee Sin shows bot. So I'm like, oh, holy shit. He actually either skipped wolves and went straight to bot side and did raptors, or he did wolves and went straight loop around here. So I got a little bit caught off guard here. And what do? Luckily, I'm leaning to my top side, to my jungler, so I can kind of lean back here, flash a little bit here. I get a nice little double Q. And my E was down, unfortunately. Since I should have just backed up, he overchases a little bit and ends up dying to my mid laner and giving this Rumble double buffs. So I thought this was a really good game. My bot lane's losing, my top lane's not really doing that well either, and now my this Rumble, unfortunately, has double buffs as well. And yeah, so it's not really good. Now I know Lee Sin is bot side though, because he just passed. I saw him pass straight to bot side, so I know I can just lean top side safely. Again, it's not the end of the world, because I know in this elo, even if someone gets a kill, they're not going to be able to snowball the game with it. I know as long as I keep farming, as long as I can get to 15 minutes without dying or anything stupid happening, I'm probably going to be okay or be able to navigate this game quite fine. It is what it is. Not really much I can do about it. So ideally, I'm going to be looking to base potentially soon, because I'm not that healthy. And something to think about, guys, and my mindset in these games is, if I sit on low mana and low HP, well, what is that going to do? Well, it means that Rumble is going to feel very safe to be able to push up, and he's going to get priority on me. And I want to minimize the amount of time that Rumble is going to be able to get priority on mid. That's just my mindset, because if I can minimize that, it's going to increase the chances of stalling this game out the longer the better. And that's the longer the better is it's actually better for Lux, or better for any of these style of mid laners like Xerath, Vel'Koz, etc, etc. So I'm just farming, focusing on my farming. My farming's not too bad this game, and it's not the end of the world. And it's all about staying cool-headed, keeping a level head, not trying to overcomplicate things, not stressing out too much, playing your own game, always tying every decision back to your identity. And what do I see? I recall just because I'm very low and I don't want to stay in lane any longer. I want to recall. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to my 1300 gold, but it is what it is. And I pan my camera to see Lee Sin. And the reason it's very important to recognize this and register this information is because I now know that Lee Sin hasn't reset yet, and he's still on bot side of the map, and I now know he's going to have to reset soon. Look, so I press tab, I check his items, I know he hasn't reset yet, which says to me that he's probably going to have to reset soon, which means mid's going to be an isolated 1v1, and then I see him pan my camera as well, and it looks like he's pathing to those Krugs. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, mid's an isolated 1v1 for a while, and that's very important to register as well. Since I'm a mobile mage, it means I can actually push my limits a little bit more here. And it's very important to get pink on the first base. You always need to get a pink. Pink's just a good for so many reasons. Generally, you want a pink to the side that you want to control. So let's talk about this for a second, and this is an absolutely crucial moment. Because I've TP'd back, I know in my mind I have tempo. So this is the advantage of having TP versus a combat spell. Like, you know, if they have cleanse or they have heal or ignite or barrier or whatever, I've come back with my teleport knowing that he has to base most likely, and I'm going to come back with a little bit of tempo. And on a champion like an immobile scaling mid, generally you want to use your tempo to, you know, continue to get a good farm and continue to farm, but then also in this window, set up vision. Because once you can set up vision, you can actually maintain priority for a long time, because you have such high range and you're going to feel safe to lean and feel safe to poke. So now what do? I think, okay, given that, I mean, I hate playing towards a Darius lane because it's very difficult for me to kill this Darius. But given that bot lane, I'm giving them a chance to potentially still play bot lane. Generally, I wouldn't do something like this, because if my bot lane's losing, I wouldn't play the bot. But because Dragon's up, we have an Ornn, I feel like there's a lot of kill threat. I'm still playing towards bot side here, and I really don't want to play towards a Darius because it just feels a little bit troublesome. So I generally just want to choose to play towards bot side here, putting my pink in the bot river. Very standard stuff. Put your pink in the dot brush, and then use this opportunity to get a deep ward on the Raptors. And this is going to be good for so many reasons here. Now, I have a choice. Do I go back mid and keep pressure mid, or do I get another little roam off? So what do? I pan my camera and I actually see bot lane. I'm like, well, look at the wave. It's too big. These guys are full HP. And they're already behind. I don't think there's any kill threat on these guys. So rather than just, you know, I begin my roam, I make my decision on the way, and I turn back knowing that there's no kill threat here. So now, what do I want to do? I want to minimize, again, I want to continue to scale. I want to minimize the amount of priority that Rumble's going to get. So now I can safely lean to one side. But now I'm getting spam pings, and Leona end up roaming onto me and end up spotting him out on the ward, and luckily Ornn actually pinged him out, and I avoided the gank. But anyway, my mindset is to keep this rumble from not pushing out and leaning towards my vision. And that's the strength of having vision, really solid vision on one side of the map. Because now, if I didn't have this vision, I wouldn't feel safe in pushing up and Eing here. I'd be quite scared because I don't have flash. I'm an immobile mage, you know. So look at my positioning as well. Notice how I'm not standing back here. I'm not standing really far back. I'm actually trying to stand quite aggressively and trying to poke this rumble whenever I can. And notice here, I don't actually choose to use my E on him. I choose to use my E on the wave. And this is actually something I want to talk about a little bit as well. How do you know whether to use your abilities on the wave, or how do you know whether to use your abilities on the enemy? So generally I find in any match, any mage matchup, when you're playing Victor, Lux, Vel'Koz, whatever, it's very good to get a minion advantage. And once you have a minion advantage, that's going to allow you to start playing more aggressive, because then this guy then can't be spending abilities on you. He has to be focusing his abilities on the minion wave. So sometimes what I like to do is use one ability on the minion wave, get a solid minion lead, and then use that to then progressively start using more abilities on the enemy. Because it allows me to position a lot more aggressively. And notice again, I'm CSing pretty well this game. And what do? I've got the wave in, so I just instantly start pathing bot. That's my response here instead of poking. I start to lean out of vision. And this is actually a game changer. Look at this. So I have a choice here. And what you'll see most low elo laners, I'll walk up and try to poke this guy into tower. But I know that I've only got 3 creeps. 3 creeps is nothing. Like, it's maybe worth 1 E. So I would take my chances knowing that, I mean, I would rather sacrifice that 1 E that I'm going to get on Rumble just to soft lean out of river and potentially get a move into a side lane. And what do? I see a fight break out. And because I've already leaned, I've got the wave pushed in, I'm going to get to this fight first. And again, this whole time, a few things are going through my mind. Well, one, I know that Rumble's chasing me, and I know I could potentially get pincered, but I'm assessing that. That's why I throw my bind back, knowing that I can create a little bit of space here between me and Rumble. I know that my jungler and my Ornn are here, and this Ezreal and Leona have used everything for that 2v2, so I know I have a little bit of space right now. If my jungler wasn't here, I wouldn't have done this, because then I would have been very vulnerable. But now I can take my chances thinking, this is going to be an okay 3v3. And I always want to try and position myself around my front line. So I feel pretty safe here behind my Ornn and my Xin Zhao. So I'm able to roam bot here, get a nice little kill onto this Ezreal, and we end up killing the Leona as well. And I don't want to stick around anymore. I want to get back to my mid lane. I want to continue my farming. But what actually happens, Lee Sin ends up chasing. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be brilliant. If he queues onto him under tower, I'm going to just queue him, and I'm able to get a nice little kill here on the back end as well. So I'm looking pretty good here. And this is all as a result, if we go back here, this is all a result of doing the right things in mid lane. This is all a result of me pushing. This is all a result of me getting pressure. This is all a result and I wouldn't have been able to get pressure if I didn't do the correct wards. Notice how it's a snowball effect. League of Legends is all about the small things like warding, leaning, pressure, maximizing your range advantage, poking when they walk up for creeps, understanding that you need a creep advantage to take good trades, leaning onto the side that you've set up your vision, and soft leaning in between waves, knowing that I'm not going to have to, there's no point in me staying in lane and poking this guy. Very small details then allow me to get into a position that's favorable, which allow me to get 2 kills and get myself back into the game. Even though we're losing still 6-3, I feel very confident in my ability as a 2-0 Lux to carry this game. And especially against a team composition that has very little engage. And the other thing I like about Lux, guys, is that Lux is a champion that is very difficult to shut down if you don't coordinate your engage. And a lot of players in low elo don't really know how to get good engages. So if I position very carefully, that's why my KDA of my 3 games on Lux is insane, because no one actually ends up getting onto me. So anyway, so I come back to lane here, and already what I'm thinking, I'm assessing the map, what's going on the side lanes, who has tempo mid, where's the junglers, where do I need to put my wards? And even though I have a pink on the map, I still buy a pink because I need my pink up all the time. And if they clear it, I want to instantly put it back down again. So it seems like now Rumble's had a bit of priority on me, and I want to minimize this as much as possible. So you'll see me in a second after I clear this. Be getting, starting to push ASAP and get that, start exerting that pressure on the map at the moment. So my CS is pretty good, 57 by 7 or 8 minutes, considering I've gone for roams and a bit of stuff's happened in the early games, not too bad. So what do? Instantly push. And now I'm looking onto bot side, and now a dragon fight's happening. Now this is the next absolutely thing. I mean, I can't stress how important this is. Now, because I'm a player who I played so much Lux and a lot of these immobile mages, I know exactly the way I want to position in these fights. And let's break this down for you. Straight away, what I'm thinking in my mind. Who's level 6? I mean, obviously Rumble's level 6. And they're doing dragon because I know they're getting chunked, but Leona's not level 6. So in terms of threat onto me, this guy has no engage. As long as I tether this Leona and don't get in range of Leona, I'm also going to be quite safe. I don't want to overextend myself into river and get flanked. I want to keep them out of range, and I want to abuse my range advantage. And what do I see here? So let's see how this fight pans out, and I'll explain to you the way I think. Now, I'm walking into river, and notice this. I see Leona and Rumble start to walk towards me. So what you'll see a lot of players do is they'll panic. And they'll feel like, oh no, they're on dragon, I need to do something. And they'll just try and walk in and get themselves in bad situations. But what do? I just chill. I throw my E out and I hold my Q. I always hold my Q. As Lux, Q is pretty much your only form of reliable self-peel since you're in a mobile mage. Especially if you got flash, but you don't want to rely on flash. It's your only form of reliable peel. And it's very hard for me to hit my Q if they're not CC'd or if they're not in a position where they're standing still. So I don't want to throw my Q at all. I just want to poke with E, constantly poke with E. And again, the longer these skirmishes go for, the better it is for a mage. Because again, I can just poke them down until they get frustrated. And I'm always putting myself in a position where I can't get engaged on. I'm constantly tethering this guy. Always. So I'm playing very patient, chilling, knowing that this is going to be very good for me if I play this very slow. And notice, even when I see Rumble walk up here, I don't walk into river. Because I know if I start walking into river over here, and then I can get collapsed on and pincered on by this Rumble and this guy. So I still chill. Notice how I don't walk in river. I'm very, very, very careful right now. I'm playing very, very safe and abusing my range. Then I start to walk in knowing that the fight's kind of breaking out, grouping around my team. And notice how, look at my positioning. I'm constantly walking around the perimeter, trying to always stand behind my team. I never want to be in a position where I'm walking in here, I'm not behind my team. I want to always create a barrier before my team and be behind them. So I use my utility with my W, get a nice little bind, and I'm able to kill this Leona, playing at my range, make it so hard for them to kill me. And if they go on me, they just get killed by the other guys, and then we end up getting this really favorable fight. And this is what I love about immobile mages. If you're very disciplined, you know exactly the way you want to navigate your fights, you're identifying the threats, and you're abusing your strength, which is your range and your poke. You know, and it's just nothing, there's nothing special going on, guys. It's just very, very simple League of Legends. Doing the fundamentals correct. So now I want to ideally get this plate and base for my Ludens. I wouldn't usually do something like this. Generally, I would value my tempo in high elo a lot more. So I'll just straight away base, knowing that Rumble's already dead and going to be coming back to base right now. Coming out from base right now. So I know that Rumble is going to have tempo. In my mind, I'm already thinking, shit, well, Rumble's going to have tempo. So I'm like, you know what? Because this is low elo, let's experiment a little bit. Let's greed for a bit of gold. This is not something I would usually do, but I was kind of interested to see if Rumble could actually use his priority and the time he has over me to do something. So I just base. And like you'll see a lot of the laners you'll verse, they don't CS well. Rumble only has 36 CS, which is pretty pitiful for 9 minutes 30. So I get my Ludens, I've got my boots now because they've come off cooldown, and now I'm assessing the map. What's going on here? What's going on bot? Who has bot push? What's Rumble doing with his priority? And notice how I'm always panning my camera here, knowing that as soon as Rumble gets the shove on mid, what do? I ping missing. Because I want to make sure that Rumble can't do anything while I'm not in lane. Because he has a bit of shove here. So I ping him out, make it very, very obvious. Constantly assessing what's going on. Not using this time to look at my phone or anything. Pathing to a fight if I need to. And I see Zinzao fight breakout, so I want to just back him up. Again, standing behind him, I feel very safe. Hold my E until he screws up his pathing. And then I get my E on the back end here. Nice little kill. Now, my mindset is I want to shove this in and potentially roam bot. We've already got, MF's got a few kills right now. Looks like we're most likely going to be continuing to play bot side. So I just want to shove this in and move. Again, another option is to potentially stay mid and get more poke off. And actually do stay mid because the wave was already here. So there was not enough time for me to move. Let's actually quickly talk about this ward. So why do I ward this side brush and why not do I ward dot? So this is... Okay, this is interesting. So I usually only ward the try. The only reason I would ward this is if I'm doing a very specific play. And look what, and this is a very specific play on Lux and champions like Lux and Vel'Koz and things like that. If you pink here and you duck out of vision and you can ideally have another ward here, if they walk through or you know they're walking through this choke point, you can actually just throw your Q, my Q, E, R and get a really, really big chunk. So this ward should be the only reason you would do this ward over the tri-bush is if you're actually not roaming and actually playing to play for chunk on the guy rather than fully commit to a roam. That's the only reason I would do that ward. I actually think in hindsight that's a mistake because I think I should be playing more for roaming in this elo, but I just choose to do that in the moment, and that's something I would look at and review. So now I'm just poking. I mean, just trying to play for the wave. And what do? End up staying for a little bit of poke. Interesting. So this is interesting. There's a few options I had here. I'm just trying to think, why did I do that? It's because bot already died. Ezreal already died. I didn't notice that, actually. Sorry. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. So his bot already died. Ezreal's dead, so there's no point in me roaming bot. That was why. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so I end up playing for push and playing for poke because I can't roam bot anyway, since I've already killed him. So it was a pretty good play for me then. And this is what, the way I want to do these videos is, again, I want to look at the details because the details is what matters in terms of winning games. And that's what this is why someone like me would reliably climb in any elo, because I just do all the right thing. I don't have to do anything special or outplay. I'm teaching you guys through macro or good decision making what you need to do ideally. So again, since I'm not roaming bot, if I'm not roaming bot, I want to keep pressure on mid, keep poking, exerting pressure on the map. And then what do I see? I get another plate mid. And then I roam bot because I see something going on. And I'm assuming now Rumble's base, so instead of just hitting mid tower, I want to exert my pressure around the map. So I start heading bot thinking that Rumble's base, and this is just going to be a 2v2. And Rumble ends up ditching because he obviously doesn't want to sit in mid any longer and goes for a nice little a roam. So I'm like, oh shit. And then I don't realize this is pinked, and I realize it's pinked, and I'm like, okay, I need to get the hell out of here. So these roams, generally, again, the only reason I'm roaming like this is because I'm always pushing and moving, thinking that Rumble is not going to be at these fights. And if Rumble is at these fights, he's losing a shit ton of CS for it. So either way, it's a win-win. If I start roaming see Rumble here, then alright, Rumble, mate, you're losing so much CS. So either way, it's a win-win. And I get Rumble ulti to throw my E out, throw my Q out. And I don't really panic here. I just kind of chill. He ults me. Get a nice little Q on the back end. Oh no, I actually missed that one. I see Ezreal use E, so I know he has no E. So I just charge on my ultimate now. Get a nice little kill there. Just over chasing. And this is, again, Lux is just the most annoying champion when you're fed in the game, honestly. So anyway, coming back. I'm working toward my Rabadons. And this is another beauty of Lux in this elo, is that no one builds itemizes MR or defenses properly, and people love to just play squishies. So I'm just building Ludens into Rabadons. And this is, I find, a really effective build in this elo specifically as well. So now again, I want to continue to hover onto one side, use this opportunity with Ornn to look for a potential pick here, get some deep vision. I actually wanted to go over that blast cone, but for some reason he didn't let me, because I feel like this was a perfect opportunity to set up for a dive bot. And something I want to talk about a little bit here. So I've got the mid push here. Something that Lux is really good at is bursting through without vision. So I was thinking, if Lee Sin comes here and goes for this red, because I see red spawning soon, if I sit over here and I'm sitting out of vision, I can just land a full combo. It's really easy for me to land a full combo. So that's what I'm thinking about as well. And that's why I wanted to go bot, because I actually wanted to go bot and sit in this bush here. And Blast Cone is in this bush. And when they walk to lane, I can just QE out of the fog and just 100 to 0 someone. But he didn't let me here, unfortunately. So I'm like, alright, well, I'll just try and get some poke off onto this Leona here. And then I see Ezreal split on the backhand here. I'm like, wait, this is a free kill. And again, notice, like, I'm just constantly exerting pressure, making it so hard for this enemy bot lane to play the game. And we end up breaking mid bot tower off of it as well. Anyway, I go back mid, see Rumble top, and I punish him by just getting plates mid. Nothing too special here. And this is another thing, guys. In the beauty of Lux as well, you don't need to overcomplicate the game. You can actually siege very well. So when the game breaks up, you end up breaking one side tower. What I find is that you can just sit mid with your AD carry and just throw abilities and end up breaking mid tower as well, which is so big. Like, if you can break mid tower in a game, the game just feels so much easier. So we end up breaking mid tower as well, which was really awesome. And now this is Lux's domain. This is exactly what Lux wants to do. She wants to sit out of vision here, wait for the enemy to come to contest to this dragon, and they want to play through these choke points So choke point here, over here, you can't see, but up there, and then the river ramp. And just look for chunk and look for 100 to zeros. And this is why I love this build path as well on Lux. So just really squishy, but 100 to 0, you know, super AP heavy build. But then you can actually get a lot of kills right now. I have a lot of options. I can sit in the pit and wait for someone to walk up here and go for a full combo. I can sit over in this dot brush, wait for someone to walk over here or through here and look for a combo. There's so many positions you can look for combos. I'm just got this quite aggressive one, but at least I'm just no hesitation, just jump straight into the pit blind. So I was actually quite surprised with that one there. But it is what it is. But you can kind of see where I'm going for, what I'm going for, guys. I'm going for this very assassin-like, I guess, Lux style, where I just want to play from out of vision. I want to play around objectives. I want to play with my team to set up kills. Nothing is random. That's actually one of the points I wanted to highlight, is that nothing is random when you play a champion. If you know the identity of your champion really well, I know the type of fights that I want to take. I know what good situations are for Lux, and this is what will happen over time, and I'm hoping I'm really highlighting in this game with Lux. Now again, notice here, when I see these really chaotic fights, when I see people here, I really want to try and find someone on my team and stick with them. So I'm not just isolated 1v1, and I'm always trying to reposition outwards. That's my default response, is to reposition outwards so I can get back with my team and have some semblance of front line. I'm always trying to stand behind my teammates. And now I see Xin Zhao here, and I try to just stand behind him so he can get some kills. And then I see my team here. I'm constantly trying to group with my team, and I actually did not expect this Darius flash, but he just flashed on me and killed me. Anyway, fast forwarding. Now, this is probably my biggest mistake this game. I see MF caught in bot river. Now, I'm a Lux with no flash, tier 1 boots. All I wanted to do here is come for my blue buff and get the hell out. But what do? I overextend, I overstep. I don't tether Leona properly. She ends up landing an ability on me, and like I said, I identified at the start of the game, Leona is probably the key threatening person in this game. And what do I know? The person I actually died to this game is Leona, and she ends up chasing me down, stunning me, making my life a living hell. So very annoying, and this is probably my biggest mistake here. And if I were to review this game, I would contribute this to, what am I doing here? What's my intention? He's already dead. There's nothing I can do. My jungler's topside. My support's in mid lane. All I want to do here is just get my blue and get the hell out, play in open spaces, play around objectives. And I die because of it. So then I learned from my lesson. I go back, check my blue. It's actually gone. And then I realize that I need to get some semblance of side lane, some semblance of farm. So I don't want to sit in the side lane. I just want to push the side lane, then group. That's my intention, is get the side lane and group. So what do? I just get this side lane, and then my actual jungle starts hovering me. So I'm like, all right, I can end up pushing out more because my jungle is actually hovering me. So I was pretty happy with that one. And it's getting a little bit sketchy here. So what do? Instead of trying to defend him, I just get the hell out straight away. I create as much space as possible. You got to play very selfish on these ranged immobile mages, because you really can't get yourself out of position, because you just have no mobility. Once you're in a bad position, it's really hard to get out. And I just want to highlight this again. Look at this. As soon as I identified that this is a bad fight, look what I do. Instead of helping him, I literally just run. Look at this. I create so much space from these guys, because I know I don't want to be anywhere near this sort of fight. I want to be regrouped with my team, because once he's dead, I need to play behind my next form of frontline, which is potentially Ornn. So look at me. I'm trying to group to Ornn here, and I kind of juke out this Leona, kill him, and now I'm standing behind my Ornn here, and I'm using my utility with my W, constantly trying to stand behind my team. And notice how far I'm standing back. I'm always standing back, playing around my cooldowns. I'm never walking up and getting in range to do auto, because again, this guy has Ghost. He can catch me down. I'm like a boxer versus like a wrestler or a grappler. I don't want to let these guys get into my zone. I want to keep them out of range as much as possible. So I'm constantly trying to tether these guys, and when my abilities are on cooldown, I'm consciously thinking, and especially when my Q's down, I have no self-peel. I need to get the hell out or reposition behind someone where I can do my damage, or get into a position where I feel safe. And what I do, I reposition here, noticing that Ornn's is more on the top side, and trying to funnel them into here, which is my choke point. So that's why I try and position around here. Throw my W on him, peel back, hit a nice little Q, and again, just run, because I can't really do anything. My cooldowns are down. And this is a very important thing, guys. Playing around your cooldowns is Lux. Especially when your Q's down, you have no form of self-peel. So I go back mid, fast forward in the game a little bit. I end up having to flash because Leona just nails half the ult onto me and slows me, and I end up having to flash, which was really, really annoying. So I end up having to base and recall for this dragon. So now, this is what you find. Like, since it gets 15 minutes onwards, it's just group and massive fights. So I want to come back mid, I want to be with my team, and I want to get into river ASAP so I can control the choke points. And now this is what I'm constantly thinking now is, great. We're into river first before the dragon spawns. Brilliant. I now want to place my... So I put a pink here and a ward here. So if they walk through here, I know they're most likely going to walk through... After they get mid-wave, they're going to walk in through here, and I'm going to be able to get a bit of poke off. But unfortunately, Darius is a little bit smarter than that. And Darius actually comes straight in from top side. That's why I actually have to bail here, because he walks in straight from there. So I'm thinking... All right, now I'm thinking, well, let's control this one instead of this one. Because I know that I can't control this one anymore. It's a lot bigger, and Darius can kind of just walk in and tank my abilities. So I'm playing quite far back here. Now I don't have my Q, which is, I tried to just prevent him from getting in. So what do? I peel all the way back here. Notice I'm very, very far back. I'm trying to create space. Go here behind my team until my abilities are back up. So again, I'm pinging back because I don't want to run into them. And now we regroup. We play the fight front to back. I kill this Lee Sin. I'm playing my fight very, very slow with my utility, abusing my range, playing around my cooldowns. That's a pretty bad Q there, but I end up blowing Rumble Flash. But then I notice Ezreal behind me. I'm like, what the hell? So look what my next step is. Again, I need to regroup with my team. So I end up walking up this way. I walk up here. I don't walk this way. I don't walk into him. I don't walk that way. I want to walk this way, because then if I'm behind my Xin Zhao, then Xin Zhao's my front line from these guys over here. That's a terrible drawing. Then if I'm over here, then he can protect me from these guys, and he can protect me from this guy. That's why I'm trying to reposition between my front line. Look at that. I reposition out on the ledge, trying to get behind, but Xin Zhao actually dies in, so I'm left on alone. So I'm constantly trying to run away, position with my team. And land another Q, bang, and then we get kills. So this is why I love Lux, man. These sorts of fights, if you're very disciplined, you understand the threat, you understand your range, you understand your cooldowns, it's so easy to win these fights. That's what I found this ELO is. It's all about these random team fights around 15 minutes onwards. And instead of going Baron, they want to siege and break mid inhibitor, so we just break up mid inhibitor. And the reason I'm going Zhonya's third is because I want to... it's like the only way they can kill me. If I can Zhonya's that Leona ult, or Zhonya's that like kick, or Zhonya's whatever, that when I'm out of position once, I feel like my team will be able to back me up, and then I can reposition. So I get my blue, and what do? I just group mid again. Because again, what's going to happen? It's going to be an ARAM around mid, and the next team who wins this team fight is going to get Baron and most likely win the game. So I just group around mid. All I try to do now, in my intention, is use pink wards, sit out of vision, try and make picks with my Q and my E, get as much poke off as possible to make the fight as favorable as possible, and I get a nice little poke off onto Leona. My MF gets caught out of position, but what do? I don't get baited in. I try and again... I don't want to walk into them. I want to maximize my range. I want to be sitting out of vision. I want to be utilizing my range like this. I want to be constantly looking to get poke off. And you should never seek to compensate for your teammates' mistakes. That's what I'm... And notice how, like, I'm just constantly poking, constantly making their life a living hell. And I know I'm the sole carrier of this team. If I... I need to be in position. If I die, my team is most likely going to lose. I have to put a huge emphasis on my life in this game. So again, and this is exactly what I found. In the first 3 games that I've played in this ELO, it's been the exact same thing every game. This sort of fight. Constant fighting. I land a Q, land an ult, get a nice little pick. We end up being able to chase them down a little bit here, force them out, get Baron. And after we get the Baron, then it leads to another team fight in a second. Just fast forwarding a little bit, just playing for control around Dragon. Exact same thing. We end up grouping, sieging with a team. Fast forwarding a little bit. If I actually go back here, yeah, this ends up being this siege. We just siege on the and this is what the strength of Lux, because when you group, you're so strong, and then we end up just acing them and ending the game. So this is kind of the way I want to do a lot of these videos during my Unranked Challenger. I want to kind of break down what it's like, what my opinion is in these specific ELOs, using specific champions. So maybe in my next video, I'll try and use a champion that is the other style. So this style was more playing a high range mage that abuses the 15-minute plus team fights, or I can play the push and roam early game champions that get so far ahead through invading the enemy jungle, roaming onto side lanes, that sort of style where I can just snowball out of control and just be an insane threat and just win the game by 20 minutes. But this is a little bit different. So I'm hoping you kind of understand a lot of the, I guess, I tried to get across all the fundamentals when playing in a mobile major. Hopefully it makes a lot of sense. If you have any questions about, and I don't actually have all the champions on this account, so unfortunately I won't be able to play every champion. I've got a decent few. I've got like Xerath. I've actually got Kiana, I've got Oriana, I've got TF, got Ryze, got a bunch of champions, just not all of them. So just let me know, and I'll ask you. Let me know what champions you want to see me play, and I'll tell you if I have them or not. And yeah, let me know if this is an interesting content series, if this is what you guys want to see. So cheers, thanks for watching.